The next part of the project is to go ahead and put the dots in. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where the dots need to be to make the project look like this. So we take our project here and we put it over the number 1 dot, and we put a little dot there for the number 1 dot. Then we rotate it up like this, and that would be the number 4 dot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back here, rotate it this way, and that would be the number 2 dot. Rotate it back, bring it up this way, that would be the number 3 dot. Rotate it back, rotate it up this way, that's the number 5 dot. One more time, that's the number 6 dot. Okay? Now we're going to choose what we need to do that with. So if we look at the blueprint here, and as we look at the blueprint and zoom in on this particular dimension, we can see when we do some math that the distance on the dots is 0.312 or 312 thousandths between each dot, or 5/16 of an inch. But let's keep it simple and say 0.312. Okay? It's also, when we do the math, it's also 0.312 from the edge in from this direction and from the edge in that direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this as our starting point as far as to start the location and put our dots on the dice itself. On tolerance, if we go to the tolerance block, we'll zoom in on that. We can see that we had a 3-place decimal. Okay, and on a 3-place decimal, we have down here, we have 1, 2, 3-place decimal plus or minus 10 thousandths on the location of the dots. Okay, and when we go over here, it talks about the dots there. The dots are 3/16 diameter. Okay, and we're going to put the dots in 50 thousandths deep. Okay, all the holes will use a 3/16 center cutting end mill. So that's what we're going to use for that project there to accomplish that. So the tooling that's going to be needed for that, just like we said earlier, is going to be a 3/16 diameter center cutting end mill. That's what we have here. It has a 3/8 shank. And we're going to use an edge finder here. This kind of moves as a 2-piece operation to pick up the edge so we can determine location. This is just a homemade center punch that we use for double checking. We have the students double check their location when they first set it up to make sure that they're in the ballpark where they want to be. All of them have a 3/8 diameter shank on it so that they don't have to change collets when they start their operation here. We will take and find the appropriate collet which will fit our edge finder. Now the edge finder is 2 pieces like I said earlier. So what you don't want to do is push that edge finder so far up inside the collet that when you try to pull it out, you pull on this. Or otherwise that edge finder all of a sudden becomes a 2-piece edge finder and it's broken and no good. There's a spring inside of here that runs from here up to the other side that allows this to swivel around at need. So what you want to do is put it sticking out about that far so you can comfortably pull it out of the collet when necessary to put something else in. Now, when we get started to put everything into our collet, when we get started, we're going to put our edge finder in first. Okay, we wipe off the collet to make sure there's nothing on it. We give our finger around on the taper to make sure there's no debris on the taper, this portion here in the collet itself. We push our collet up, we reach up to our drawbar, we get our collet started. We can take our edge finder then, and by pushing down on the top with our finger, that keeps the collet down, and we can slide our edge finder up where we still have enough to grab onto to pull it out if we need it. Okay, when we need it. We push this up all the way, we snug it. Now the edge finder doesn't have to be super tight. We're going to take our combination hammer and wrench, bring it up to the top, put our brake on, give a pull, make it snug, give a pull. Just a good snug is tight enough for this particular operation. Now, what I usually like to do is I usually like to start with the number 6 in there. That's usually the place where I like to start putting the dots on the dice itself. Now, inside the collet here, you'll see we have the solid jaw of the vise. We have our vise stop that we've turned around and put into place, locked all the appropriate screws to hold this where it should be. We try to put this rod where it won't hit a dot in any way, shape, or form, and this particular location is a good spot. We will put our dice in there, down on the parallel, which is right down here. Set our dice down in there, and we're going to slide it up till it touches that stop, hold it in place, and we're going to snug up the solid jaw to it. Now, we're going to take, this is our edge finder, we're going to bring it on down. You can see that, let's move this down a little bit, rapid travel our stop down. We're going to bring this on out to here. We're going to turn on our machine. We want that to wobble just like it is. The reason we want it to wobble is it's going to wobble till it comes in contact with this edge out here, and then it's going to go from a wobble to run true as an arrow, and then it's going to kick off to the side. And the amount, when we go to that amount, it's only going to be within 1/1000th of an inch before it kicks off. So we're going to turn this on. We're going to run this in until the wobbling starts to decease. And as you can see now, the wobbling is just about gone. It's about running as true as it can be. Now I'm going to bump the handle just like this very slowly to make it turn around. Watch what happens to here. As you can see, as I start to move it in, see it move? Okay. We'll take that out, we'll raise that up. Now, this particular diameter is 200 thousandths in diameter. We have to compensate for half of that so that we can start from the edge or the center of the spindle and work our way over to where we need to be. So, using this illustration as our edge finder is 200 thousandths right there at that small end down here. We have to compensate for half, so we'll just take 200 thousandths divided by 2, gives us 100 thousandths we have to move in order to get from there to the center of this particular device right here, called an edge finder. What I'm going to do is bring this edge finder down again and pick up that from a different perspective on this side of the machine. I lock the head where the head won't go up, and I'm going to come in till it starts to run true, like there, and then I'm going to bump it very gradually until it jumps off to the side. Okay? Now we're going to raise that up out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and just true it up, just close for my finger. Okay. On. Okay? On this here, I'm going to loosen the collar where this is free to turn. Now, we've already determined that all the way around is 200 thousandths. Well, we have to compensate for 100 thousandths. So if we spin this around to the 100 thousandths mark, and we snug this up, okay, and we turn it to 0, 100 thousandths, from 100 to 200, which would be 0. Right now, up here, we're right now on the center of that. Just by eyeball, if we look at it from the side, we can see as we bring this down that we split that diameter in half. And right now, we are located right here at this edge of this particular spot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and move to get the first dot, so we're going to move 312 thousandths to the first dimension. We're going to go ahead and move the table in that direction 312 thousandths. So we have this sitting on 0 now, 10, 20, 30, 40, 70, 80, 90, 100. A full turn is 200 plus another 112. So we'll bring this on up slowly. That's 100, 10, 12. Oops, we went past. If we go past, we can't come back to it here. Remember backlash. So what we have to do is come back here till the table starts to come out, and then bring it back up in this direction so that we keep the backlash all going the same way. That's 110, 11, 12. Now we're exactly where we're supposed to be in this direction. Having that direction established, we have to now get the machine established in this direction. So we bring it down here to start. We turn on our machine. We get it to wobble. We bring it down where it's closer. We start to crank it in this direction until the wobbling starts to stop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn the machine on. We got the wobbling to stop, and what we're going to do is we're going to start to bump it till it jumps. See it jump there? Okay, we'll shut our machine off, hit the brake, bring our machine up to there. We're going to go ahead and true this in while we're here. Okay, like so. Shut our machine back off. We're going to loosen our collar and set again we're going to set it on 100 thousandths, snug up our collar, bring it around to 0, and that's going to put us right where we need to be. Now when we look at it from this side, we can see when we bring it down that we're halfway between that side and the other side, or just right in the middle. That's where we need to be. Now we have it set on 0 here. Okay, now we got to move 312 thousandths in that direction. Like we said, that would be 100 thousandths there, 200 thousandths there, 312 is what we're headed for. There's 100, 10, bump the handle with our fist a little bit, 11, 12. Now we're right where we're supposed to be. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and take our edge finder out of the machine. We're going to bring this on back up. Take our combination wrench and hammer, come up to the top, put it on, bring it around here, put our brake on, pull it a little bit. We didn't tighten it up very tight. One turn did. We're going to hold on to this, tap it with the hammer. Okay, pull our edge finder on out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our center that we have here, okay, with a hardened point on it, and we're going to put it up in our collar because we're going to double check where we're at. So we slide that up till enough sticks out where we can pull it out, push it up, snug it up. We're going to go ahead and put our wrench on, lock our brake, make it tight, get another bite, make it tight. Now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring this down, and we're going to make a dot with this so we can see and check location as to where we're at. Now we're going to put a little more Sharpie on there so we can see what's going on, because our dot will be more pronounced with that on when we touch it. Now, as we take the lock off, as we bring this down, we're going to make a little dot in the part. As you see, there's a little dot now showing where I just tapped it and made a little, what they call a witness mark, where the center of the spindle is going to be. We're going to check that with the calipers to make sure that we're in the right spot. We're going to go ahead and get our calipers and take our calipers and turn them on, run them out, and then we're going to run them back down to 0 to make sure it's 0. If it's not 0, we're going to go ahead and 0 it out. First, like I said, we should make sure that everything's clean. It is on 0 and it's ready to use. We're going to move it out to 312 thousandths. $11 is good. 11 is good. We're only 1,000th off where we should be, but it's good enough for us to check with. What we're checking for with our calipers is that the 312 thousandths that we put into our calipers, we're just doing a rough check as far as from the edge of the part here to the center of the dot, which checks to be very good as far as the distance goes. And we can also bring it around this way to check it this way, and it looks good that way as well. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the end mill on, and we're going to very slowly crank up the table. Okay? Now, you holler out when we start to make a scratch on there. Whoa, we're there. See, we made a scratch. We made a scratch on there. Right? Cut this off. Made a scratch on there with the end mill. So we're going to call that 0 based on us being up against the stop. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take and crank it up the appropriate amount on our knee and bring our knee up so that we can become 50 thousandths deep. So first thing we're going to do is loosen our collar. Here, move this around till we get to 0. Okay, the handle's on this side, so any slop that's in the handle has already been taken out with the weight of the handle. We're going to crank it upward 50 thousandths. 10, 20, 30, 40. I'm going to pull the crank around where it's easier. Coming up to 50, we bump it. We're there, 50 thousandths. Now, we're going to turn the handle around on the crank like so, because we're not going to adjust that anymore till this block is done with the dots. We are finished going up and down. On this first dot here, we're going to come down to where we get close to the cutter. I'm going to turn it on. We're going to bring it down very gently into the work. We don't want to slam it into that dice. If we hit that dice too hard when we first come down, then what will happen? I'm going to go ahead and shut this off there. On that first dice, what we have done is we've taken and come down with this and came down till we reached the stop, and that set the depth of that particular dice. We're going to go ahead and shut it off, hit the brake, bring it up, take our brush our chips away. Make sure this spindle is shut off before you do anything up around that cutter. We're going to take our dice out. As you can see, that's got a dot in it there. We're going to begin to put all the dots in the corners of this block. Everywhere there's a corner, that's where we're going to put a dot. So we'll turn it to a new location. We'll brush it out in there, make sure it's clean. Slide it up against our stop. Snug up our vise. Bring this on down. Turn on our machine. And we're going to put another dot there. Bring it on up. Shut off our machine. Hit the brake. Brush yourself out of the way. Move it to another location. To there. Make sure it's brushed out in here. Push that on there. Snug this up. Turn the machine on. Bring this on down till we hit our stop. Bring it back up. Shut the machine off. Hit our brake. Brush everything off. Take our dice out. Brush out our vise. Turn it to another location. Snug up our vise. Turn our machine on. Don't slam into that. Like I said, we come down till we get it gently. Come down to the stop. Bring it back up. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Brush off our cutter. Okay, get that out of the way. Clear all this out. I almost hit my finger against there just now. I brushed it. Didn't slice me open, but it came close. Okay, push that in there. Put this down. Bring this, turn the machine on. Come down. We're going to continue to do all the corners on the dice. Brush that off. Clean that out of the way. Take this out. Brush that out. Go to another spot on the dice. Push it back in. Bring it down, turn it on. You get kind of a rhythm going on when you do this so that it works out. Shut that off. Hit the brake. Take this out. Brush this all off out of the way. Spin that to another location. Put your dice back in. Snug it up. Turn it on. Bring it up. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Brush that all off. Take your dice out, brush out the vise, make sure it's all nice and clean. Okay, go to another location, push that down, turn that on. And like I said, we're doing this to all 4 of the locations on the dice. Okay, got that done. We got to go to here, turn that on. Shut that off, brush that off, come around here, brush that all out of the way, go around to another location, put that in, snug that up. Hit that brake, go around to it. Okay, clear that out, snug that up. Brush that off. Go to another location. Snug that up, bring this down. Bring this up, hit the brake, brush this off, clean that out. Next one. Bring that up, shut this off, brush this out of the way, brush that out. Okay, go to next location, snug that up. Shut it off, hit the brake, brush this out. Okay, just a couple more and we'll be finished up with our corners. Hit the brake, brush this off, brush that off, brush that off, clean that out. That corner. Okay. Brush this out of our way, brush that off, clean that off, brush that out. Okay. Okay, it looks like we got all of our corners. We got our 2, our 4, our 5, and so forth. Okay, got them all done. Okay. We got all of our corners done and we're in this location. Now we're going to move to, here's the 6, which is the one that's up. We're going to move to this one on the 6. Like I said, our table is now on 0, so we got to move 312. So that would be 100. A full crank is 200 plus another 112. Okay, there's 110. Oops, went too far. Cannot come back to it. Got to come back way far here, and then go back up to it. I don't know if way far here is an amount, but anyway, you have to come back. 110, 11, 12. Okay, now we've moved it the appropriate amount for it to work out up here to be the right amount. As you see by looking at it, you can see where our movement is about the same amount on each side, and we're in the proper location for that. Our stop is still set for the depth, so all we do is turn on our machine, come down and gently touch it, come down to our stop for the appropriate depth, bring it up, shut our machine off, brush away our chips, get our chips all brushed out of the way. We take the dice and we take the dice out, brush out our chips. Always got to keep everything clean. Turn our dice around, push it back up in there to the appropriate amount, and that's where our next one's going to be. We'll take and turn our machine back on. We'll bring our end mill down. We'll pick up our part. We'll come down to our stop for our final hole on the 6th side. Bring it up, shut off our machine, hit the brake, brush the chips away, get all the chips brushed away there. Now, the 6 is done. Now the only dots we have left are the number 1 dot and the number 3 dot on the 5 and so forth. So, we're already made our first movement on the 6. From there to there, now all we have to do is move 312 thousandths from here to make the center. So we'll make sure this is all cleaned out in here. Okay, we'll put turn up one of our 1s, which would be 5, any one will work. Put it in, snug it up, bring it down, and we have to move now. We have to take the table and move it in 312 thousandths. So from there, what we'll do is we'll go down to our dial down here, rapid travel in just a little. Okay, we're going to loosen our collar, set our dial on 0. We got to go 312 in that direction. A full crank is 200 plus another 112. We come around to 100, that's 300, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Now we're ready to go up here for our center dot. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our chamfers on our dice project. Our chamfers are located right up here. That would be these little angles that are around the corner that would look just like this. So this is what we're going to be putting on next onto our dice. These little shiny corners, which are called chamfers. These particular chamfers are 80 thousandths by 80 thousandths, 2 decimal places back. So if we go down to our tolerance blocks, down here, and zoom in on it, the wrong way, zoom in on it, you will see that 2 places back is 30 thousandths tolerance. So that's quite a bit of tolerance we have to work with. So how we're going to accomplish that is we're going to go ahead and put some Sharpie on there. It resembles Dykem, or a type of paint that we put on so we can draw on our work to lay out lines that we can cut to. So we're just going to put some Sharpie on there like so. And then we're going to take and set our calibers. Set our calibers here. We're going to start them up, make sure they're cleaned out, bring them down, zero them out if they're not zero. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set our calibers on 80 thousandths. Whoops, long way past. Okay, you holler out when we get there. 97, 96, heading for 80 thousandths. 79 is good. Going to snug up our lock on the top. Okay. On our calibers is at 80 thousandths. We set it to. We've locked the lock on it. The caliber is 80 thousandths in between these two. Our caliber is 80 thousandths on the outside of these two. It's 80 thousandths on the depth from here to there. It's also 80 thousandths from this flat surface here to this flat surface up there is also 80 thousandths. And that's what we're going to use to mark on our block here. We've already put Dykem on it and got it ready to go, or Sharpie mark, which is just as good. And it's all ready to put our layout lines on. In all the students' toolkits, they come with a scriber, which is a carbide tip, sharp point on the end, and it also has a magnet on it as well. Okay? We're going to take our 80 thousandths that's in our caliber window here, and we're going to use that to our advantage. Like I said, it's 80 thousandths from this first surface down to the second surface. Okay? It's real convenient the way this is set up that we can put it right against there to hold it in place. Then we're going to take this and we're going to put one edge of it against the bottom, and we're going to make a layout line against the top. Just like that. We're going to turn this the way it looks, and we're going to turn it around this way and put one on this side as well. So we take it, line that up, put on a mark there as well, and if you look, you'll see that we have a mark on that side and a mark on this side with which to go by. On our tool cart, we have a variety of different tools and tooling. We also have what we refer to as some shop aids. There are fixtures and there are shop aids. Fixtures usually clamp and hold a particular piece part so that you can machine it, and where you can take parts in and out and it would repeat to do the same operation. Shop aids are just something that can be made up, such as this. This by being 80 by 80, it's a 45 on there. We can take and machine that into an aluminum block, set this block inside, and that'll hold it in place so that we can cut across. What we're going to do to make that a nice looking finish on there, we're going to put our fly cutter back in, and we're going to cut across this way and put that chamfer on. Like the dots, as soon as we cut the first one and got it set, then we're going to just roll it around to the different surfaces and cut each of those surfaces in as we go. Now we're going to go ahead and take our end mill out and put our fly cutter in. We go up here to the top, we bring it around, we put our brake on, we pull. We get another bite, we pull, it's loose, couple turns, hold on to it, tap, pull our end mill out first, push up on our collet, makes it easier to turn at the top, unscrew our collet out of there, bring it on down, put it over to the side. We're going to move our stop out of our way. We're going to take our fly cutter and find the appropriate collet for the fly cutter. This is the appropriate run that works. Again, we're going to wipe it off, wipe out our spindle to make sure there's nothing in there, slide our collet up in, get it started up here. We're going to take our fly cutter, we're going to push it up into our collet. We're going to kind of push everything up together till it's snug. Reach up here, put our combination wrench and hammer on, make a little snug. A good pull, another good pull, we're good to go. Okay, we're going to clean out our vise in here. Be mindful of that cutter because it's sharp. Clean that out in there, get everything all clean. We're going to take our parallel out, continue to clean out our vise, get all the debris out of there, absolutely all the debris out of there. Make sure that the jaws are nice and smooth. Don't run your hand fast in here because you're running a chance of getting carried away and bumping your knuckles against that cutter. And then you'll start to leak. Okay, I'm going to show you here what to do in there. We're going to set this in like this. We're going to take our first side that's got our marks on it. We're going to put it in like that and close our vise up on it. So we'll lift this up. We'll drop that down in there on this surface. We'll open this up. We'll take our block. We'll set our block in there. Hold our finger on it. I'm going to move that over to this side. For the convenience of taking it in and out, this side is the best place to put it, if you're right-handed especially. Put that in there, snug that up, bring our cutter on around. We can bring it down just a bit because we're not going to put a lot of pressure on our spindle. Bring it over to where we're close. Crank it up to here, like this, where we're coming close to our cutter. We're going to take and turn it on. Go back and forth with it as I'm cranking up. You can see I'm starting to cut it now. As you can see, our layout line's on there. We're going to take and bring this up as we go. Idea is heading towards that layout line. I'm cranking it up a little bit with each pass till we get close to it. Holler out when you think we've got there. That looks pretty good. Right there, hit the brake. That looks pretty good to our layout line that we put on there. Okay, now that we have that established on that first one, what we're going to do is we're going to take and turn it to a different spot, put it back into our machine, snug it up, turn on our machine, and just come on and crank it across nice and slow. Shut our machine off, hit the brake, make sure that's not going to drag across. Take our part out. There's going to be a burr right here on this edge. We're going to knock that off. Okay? Going to take and make sure that's cleared out in there. Turn it to a different location. Drop it in on that V-block. Snug it up. Turn it on. Come over till we're close. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Make sure that's clear.
Open it up. Take it out. Deburr it. On off that edge. Turn it to a different location. Drop it in. Snug it up. Get it close. Start it up. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Bring it around. Open it up. Move it to a different location. Put it in. Snug it up. Turn it on. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Take it out. Move it to a different location. Drop it in. Snug it up. Turn it on. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Open it up. Bring it over. That's got all those. Move it to that location. Snug it up. Turn it on. Bring it across. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Take it out. Well, got this one yet? Turn it off. Hit the brake. Take it out. Move to a different location. Snug it up. Turn it on. Shut it off. Hit the brake. Take it out. Move to a different location. Turn it on. Turn it off. Hit the brake. Out. See if everybody's done. Yep. All finished up. Nope. One more. Snug it up. Turn it on. Take it out. Got them all. They look really good. That operation's done. The block is finished except for the polishing. Ah, one more. I said that. Spoke too soon. Okay, now we're all finished.
Block looks good except for the polishing, and we got to do the inspection, and we got to stamp the initials and the number 1 side.